big one. We wanted to appreciate some of the ecosystem leaders that exist within and beyond AfricArena. I think when you look at the last 20 years, you've been a consistent voice and a consistent face in South Africa's various attempts to self-organize itself into an accelerator ecosystem, enabler ecosystem. How has that been for you, giving you a front row seat and an engine room role in enabling the enablers?
Firstly, thank you for that. I guess a lot of this stems from me being involved in multiple startups. And for me, it's around two things. Number one, paying it forward. I've had the benefit and privilege of other people having paid it forward to me. So that's the one. But I guess the more important thing is we are a country so rich and so ready for the numerous challenges. And the least I can do is help the ecosystem move itself forward, right? And so for me, I guess it's about really two fundamental things. As South African, as Africans, we know how to solve problems. We have great solutions. And sitting where I am, I see a multitude of that. And the second thing is, we are very resilient people. We tend not to appreciate that. And that's what makes us so unique. And I guess, being in this space, entrepreneur ecosystem, tech ecosystem for the last many, many years, I've had the advantage of seeing lots of change happening. We're catching up a lot faster, but more importantly, we're starting to really innovate and solving truly South African and African problems.
I love that, I love that. You are someone that Preeti and I regard as being very bilingual in a way that may surprise you. You've been in corporate and you've earned your stripes and I don't know, you've been very decorated there. And then you segued into startups. How did you kind of like begin to be at home in both worlds that are usually apart and become the glue that is pulling them towards each other and holding them together?
Yeah, great question. So I guess as part of my earlier career, I spent quite a few years in professional services in corporate environment. And what that did for me is instill a couple of basic things. Accountability, responsibility, staying true to your word, and also respecting what you have and how do you lend that forward. Fortunate, whilst I was still in the corporate environment, I'd invested in one or two businesses. And so when I transitioned out of corporate into this entrepreneur space, it was relatively easy, but it came down to two things. I had to back myself first. And so that's my message to all entrepreneurs. Back yourself. If you're not backing yourself, trust me, nobody else is. So that's the very first thing. And secondly, have this learning mindset, right? Trust me, you don't know it all. I've been in this space for many years. I learn every single day. Come to an event like this, I'm learning stuff. So for me, those are the two things. Back yourself, have this learning mindset. And that's what's really helped me move on, not only in this ecosystem, but in the various businesses that I ran, which is, I don't know it all, I want to learn from people. Try, make mistakes, learn from those mistakes, but keep moving forward. Every morning, I wake up and tell myself, I am backing myself. If I'm wrong, that's cool, no problem. I learn from that. If I'm not backing myself, I can't expect anybody, absolutely anybody, to want to help.
Talking about moving forward, second last question I have for you. For established leaders in whatever space, and your domain is enablement, funder ecosystems, you are a familiar face in a number of rooms. There's this thing called leadership through vulnerability. About 2 months ago, if I'm not mistaken, you picked up the microphone and you looked into the camera and you sought to broaden your reach, to express your commitment to teach, to empower beyond the spaces that contracted to empower. How has that vulnerability been? And I personally think there needs to be more media spaces reaching out to you to appreciate your soaked up, enriched knowledge beyond what you're doing. But what gave you the courage to finally switch on that camera and say, I'm going to position brand Sanjay within and beyond the ecosystems or the four walls that I'm in? How was that? Because I super respect that.
So for me, it came down to principally two things. Having had lots of knowledge, experiences, lots of failures, some big gains as well. why keep it to myself? So for me, it's about sharing, right? And you know, often enough, leaders, entrepreneurs, founders think that when they talk about the experiences, they're giving away the secret sauce. It's far from the truth. It's the start of people thinking about what is their secret sauce. So I share a lot of my experiences just to help entrepreneurs get some confidence, number one, but more importantly, give them a different perspective from which to think about. So for me, that's the first thing. Secondly, I really just have a passion for wanting to support the ecosystem. And that passion is really about what can I do to help other entrepreneurs, help other leaders think about how they can give back. Message to any leader out there. Don't hog your knowledge. Trust me. There's so much stuff on the internet. The reason I actually got to getting onto video, people want to hear people speak. They don't want to hear computers, AI generate stuff. And as human beings, who do we connect with first? We connect with people first. And so getting on camera, I'm finding different ways to connect with people by being myself. The good, the bad, hopefully some nice stuff comes out of it.
The VC ecosystem in South Africa, next to the angel ecosystem, they are advancing at different paces. I think between you and me, the angel network is advancing a lot faster and a lot ahead than the VC. And then there's private equity. Somebody said it's possible that most of South Africa's VCs are bankers with a different name, and hence they tend to be a bit more risk averse, similar to bankers. It may be good, may be bad, but what advice do you have to aspirant angels and to VCs that tend to hold back a bit than they should? I'm gonna give you a case in point. On stage, one of the panelists on the last panel said, are we sending our founders to the front lines of the battle with the butter knife when they need a fully fledged machine gun? Are we underfunding them? Are we giving them a raw deal without meaning to? Are we giving them a tiny kitty, a lunchbox when they need an entire bakery? And what do you have on that?
I think it's a great question. So when you think about angels, it's really people like yourself and myself taking our own cash and backing a founder in their business and their business idea. So our risk tolerance is very different, right? So one of the characteristics of angels, they take earlier stage risk, which means potentially higher returns. So on the contrast that with VCs, VCs manage funds on behalf of other people. So there's a return expectation, which means that you can't be overtly aggressive, neither can you be overtly conservative, right? So a lot of what drives VC, private equity behavior is, I've got a fund, I'm expected to deliver a return. If I deliver the return, I can get the second fund and the third fund. Angels are very different. I take my own, so in the last 5 months, I personally invested in 3 early stage businesses with my own cash. So what's my risk lens on that? Twofold. Can I back that entrepreneur, that founder, to run that business? Secondly, do I see market potential? But who am I answerable to? Me, myself, and I. It happens to be my wife, we both of us co-invest, but I'm answerable to the two of us. In the VC landscape, it's very, very different. From a South African context, I think there's a couple of things to think about. Number one, the angel space is ever evolving. More individuals like ourselves want to take small portion of cash and back earlier stage founders. Secondly, VCs have appreciated that traditionally higher returns, 30, 40% returns, are not norm and standard anymore. They've had to temper their own expectations. It's not 5%, but it's no longer 35%. Can't say somewhere in between. But what that means, you take a little bit more different risk, you break out of this conservative shell, but the biggest thing is you're managing other people's money, which means you're accountable differently. Angel investors, by their very nature, take a lot more risk, but that risk is premised on 2 things: their own experience and co-investing with other people that have different experiences.
My parting question to you, we are inside AfricArena being hosted. We have seen that AfricArena's approach to enablement tends to start at identifying potential startups, getting them into a boot camp, and then pivoting them through the learning into your pitches, and also now plugging them into highly enriched networks like this. What would you say? And that's just 1% what we've seen. You've had a front row panoramic view. what would you say is different about AfricArena that other ecosystems can maybe come and learn as a best practice and maybe can try and adapt their own models so that the ecosystems can lift as they rise?
I think there's a couple of things. Firstly, it's a confluence of investors, advisors, founders, entrepreneurs, ecosystem players. We've got a room full of people that have varied backgrounds. So that's the first thing. Secondly, the pitch events. You're getting people to pitch in front of not only investors, but also other entrepreneurs and founders. So they're putting themselves out there and they're getting really robust, honest feedback. Thirdly, this is not the only event that happens. It's a build-up for the last 3-4 days into today, and it continues. It stops in Joburg in the next day or so, continues on the continent, outside the continent, and whatever the case may be. So AfricArena is really a meeting point of people that want to support the ecosystem. But it's the enabling environment where you can have robust, honest conversations, meet people, share ideas in a safe space.
I love that. We appreciate you. Keep doing what you do. You're not just an angel to the startups, but you're an angel to the broader ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Evan.
And looking forward to catching up with you offline.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.